Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Green Room Podcast. I'm Matthew Bruni, and joining me once again for this late night podcast, Saturday night, 11:54, almost Sunday morning,
Yep.
is Colin Mitchell. Colin, how are you?
I'm great. I'm doing well.
You doing well?
Fantastic. Good.
that was a lot of synonyms there, Colin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Compensating?
No,
Air it
actually.
out.
Actually I'm not compensating. I think we'll obviously we'll jump into this in a bit, but I think I was tired of having the wishy-washy, win some games, lose some games, close, don't really know what's happening.
Yep.
Now I see. Now there's light
Yep.
or dark depending on who
Yep.
you are, but
I got
yeah.
my Capri Sun right here
Yeah, I got my Pepsi bottle filled with water.
for the sugar. It is late. I just came back from the LSU game, and
For the sugar, it is late.
it was
That
nice. It
is
was nice.
pretty
that
topped up on Capri Suns like an 8-year-old. That's crazy. All right.
No, I had a Red Bull earlier. Had to get
Okay.
through the LSU game,
Yeah.
and then I knew after that. So because it was a long day. You had North Texas at 2, then I had LSU at 5, and so on and so forth. So, long day, but not as long. It wasn't as long of a day for us as it was for some people out there. I think everybody who watched the North Texas game, and like I've said before, this is not a recap podcast. If you don't know what happened, go watch the game yourself or go watch the
Or
highlights on
don't watch
YouTube.
it. I mean, I wouldn't watch
Or
it.
just go look at the final score and say like, okay, I get the picture, and you
Yeah,
can walk away and
yeah.
live the rest of your life happy, and you
Yeah.
don't have to live through this. Live through what we're living through right now in this moment in 2022. Okay, just don't do it. So, Colin, I'll even say you were more in tune with the game than I was because I had to drive to the LSU game during the third quarter.
Yeah, I think you. Yeah, I think you got like half the third quarter or something.
Yeah, and then I get there and I had to walk. You have to walk like half a mile to the game, and there's like a billion people there, and you're just like sweating, and you know how it goes. So, anyways, I was not as locked in the second half, but I saw enough of the second half, and honestly, like I said, you don't need to watch this game to understand what's happening at this point. So, what I want you to go first. We don't have to do big picture
Yeah.
takeaways or anything, but as far as the game goes, the individual game, what disappointed you the most about this loss?
Seeing
About a 58 to was the score 58 to 27 loss to UNLV, who on the last podcast I said was bad.
Yes.
What disappointed you?
You did say that. I have two things that mainly disappointed me. One in a game sense, and then two is in an overall Seth sense. So I'll do the game thing first.
Yes, let's do game.
Earlier at the first half, it was, what was the exact score? 23-20. UNLV had some issues. North Texas had some issues. Both teams, it was anyone's game, I thought. And I thought, okay, North Texas can come back and win this. The fact that UNLV came out and completely fixed any mistakes that they had and rebounded from that first half, and North Texas just completely crumbled under the pressure. It just showed you the two ways that this game could have gone. If North Texas did what UNLV did, we have a game. Whereas UNLV went into halftime and they said, okay, this is what we got to do. And they did exactly what they needed to do. Now, North Texas obviously came out and they did the run. And it they gashed them. And I think that's where they got their only touchdown, because that was when they went for it on fourth down, I believe. So, there was some promising things from North Texas at first, but then once UNLV figured it out, it was over. Second thing, and this kind of goes into what I was just saying, Seth's unwillingness to change the script. And this has been a theme since Graham Harrell, where you have the 4th and 1s, the 3rd and 1s, whatever it is, it's always a run down the middle, no matter what. And the only time they converted the 4th down was whenever they had that little screen pass, I believe it was, to Oscar Attaway.
Yeah, it was a Attaway flanked out.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, he flanked out, and then not only that, there was no rushing touchdowns when they were on the one, I think twice, and the only touchdown that was in the red zone was another flat out to Oscar Attaway, I believe it was. I could be remembering that wrong, but regardless, it was all passing. So the fact that over and over and over and over again we see Seth stick to that when it's short yardage running is insane to me, especially when you get Ani going, because he had 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Both those interceptions were late in the game. but he was dicing him up, when he needed to. Obviously, we don't know how that would have gone if they made that a main focal point, but he was completing passes. I thought he looked fine. So why wasn't that something that they went with? Why did they switch it to where they're going to do a QB draw with Ani late? Or why did they make it to where they're just going to run 5 times in a row and then give everyone pain when they turn it over on downs on their UNLV's 1 yard line? So those are my 2 things.
Yeah, I'll start with the game thing for me as well. I can't believe, well, I guess 2 things. The first thing is I couldn't believe they didn't stop Doug Brumfield, the UNLV quarterback, from running, because I watched the Cal game, and it didn't take a genius to figure out, oh, this guy's athletic. Okay, maybe we should not let him run as much. And he's a good thrower, but he's not nearly, you don't want him to be elite in both aspects. And time after time after time, they let Brumfield just run all over them. All over them.
Tons of 3rd down conversions.
It was easy. And Phil Bennett, you want to give him your credit or you don't want to give him his credit? I jokingly said on Twitter in the first half, I was like, is Phil Bennett going to let them score 30 in the first half? And there was 5 people saying, well, the offense wasn't very good. I was not talking about the offense, was I? I was talking about this defense. And this defense in the second half, again, obviously one was a pick 6, sure, but showed you time after time they can't stop the run and they can't stop a mobile quarterback. And Brumfield went 21 of 27 passing.
Yeah.
For 211 yards, two touchdowns, no
And
picks.
he had some tight throws where I wouldn't necessarily have wanted that quarterback to throw.
Yeah, and so it's like they couldn't stop the run, 7.2 yards per carry. They couldn't stop the pass, 21 to 27 passing. And the defense is a mess. It's an absolute mess. And this is what we talked about. And I don't want to get – actually, I don't care. But the thing is, when we talked about KD Davis coming back,
yeah,
what did we say? We're like, it's great he's coming back, but where does it translate? Like, this is not like the same thing as when Texas gets Quinn Ewers back, right? Like, it's not that level of impact here. It's not give me another one. UTSA with Sincere McCormick level, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's not these level of impact players. KD Davis had 8 tackles and they can't stop anybody. And that's not on KD Davis, obviously, but I'm just like, it's a systematic issue here. And I could see it coming into the season, coming out of last season. Like, yes, there were improvements last season, but time after time, you can just see the writing on the wall that, like, yes, there's talent on the defense, but you can't get stops when you need to. And I go ahead.
I was going to say, to go on top of that, it's not even, we can even go down to just a tackling issue. Time and time after again, I saw tons of times where you got guys just flying, just literally just diving at nothing while a UNLV player just kind of runs and turns, a little flat route into 10 yards.
Yeah. I mean, so defensively was my big thing. Neither side of the ball was great.
Yeah.
But I couldn't believe they let Brumfield get away the way that they did. I think that covers most of the game stuff. I don't think there's really anything else from the game that we need to get into. I mean, go ahead.
If for anyone that's not or didn't watch, I guess if bless you. I just to go back to Ani, I don't think he played bad. I think that he did what he needed to do. Obviously, he is what he is. We saw a lot of underthrown passes. We saw some low passes. But whenever he needed to make a pass, he made the pass for the most part. So I don't think this is like, because last year we'd always go back to the quarterback or we'd go back to no receivers. Well, they had everybody. They had Jair Shorter. They had Roderick Burns. They had Varkey's Gums. They had Jake Roberts. And then you have Ani, and then you have the 4 running backs. There is no reason. I mean, there's no reason. So where does it come back to? At this point, you go back to the play calling because you have the talent now. The talent's there. And everyone has been here long enough to where what everyone is. So
no, you're 100% right. Before we do these podcasts, obviously, like I said before, we're not 24/7 North Texas, right? The way no pun intended. Jesus Christ, Mean Green 24/7 North Texas. Anyways, we're not in it like we used to be. So you gotta think ahead a little bit more, right? And that's the one thing that I always come back to is last year, Seth talked about it. He talked about it with us on the podcast. He was like, last year was such an injury depleted year where Attaway's out, Bush is out, Shorter's out, and you just didn't have anything. You didn't have the tight ends really.
Yep.
You know, Roberts wasn't established. All this stuff. This year you have all that, and yet you still against SMU look inept. You still can't match UNLV scoring, and you still go back to the same plays on those crucial situations time after time, even though you have weapons now. Like, this isn't the same situation as last year. And we have to remember, he was doing this with Mason Fine, too. Like, he
Yeah.
wasn't even letting Mason throw the ball when they had him.
Yeah, when
And
Graham
so,
left, basically.
yeah, and so it's like, it's turned into this Brutus mentality to where it's like, we're going to get 1 yard. And this is the way it's always been with him.
Yeah.
This is the fullback in him. And I watched the post-game presser. I watched Brett Vito sit there for 5 minutes and ask him questions, like as I was eating dinner like 10 minutes ago, and he's like, "You got to have the mentality that you can get that 1 yard 100% of the time." That's what he said, and he said that before. But for me, this is year 7, and Colin, if I say I'm gonna jump from the Empire State Building and I have 100% confidence that I'm gonna survive, does that mean I should do it? No,
That is a great
it
analogy.
doesn't. It doesn't mean that you should do it. It means that somebody there should be like, you know what? No, let's not do that. Or that's what a coaching staff is for. That's where you get ideas from. That's why Graham Harrell was so good. That's why you want Blesh to be there like, you know what? Let's do this. Let's do this. But Blesh was also an offensive line coach. So he's probably has the same mentality.
Yeah.
So at some point, are you surrounding yourself with people that challenge you, or are you surrounding yourself with people that think like you? And that's always the scary thing with coaching. And that's why Littrell, as much as we've given him praise in the past about his ability as a coach, as an offensive coordinator, because I think he there are times where he's a really, really good offensive mind, but you have to be challenged. And I just don't think that he is getting challenged enough at times, because there's no reason to keep doing this. If you think you can do it 100% of the time and you're doing it 25% of the time, something's off. You're not even doing that 75% of the time. So, yeah, it is not good. But that was the one thing coming into this podcast that I was like, and I'm glad you hit on it early, is like, they have the weapons now.
Yeah.
What's the next excuse? What's
Yeah.
the next excuse for not being able to keep pace with SMU, to keep pace with UNLV? Like, sure, you put up 31 on UTEP, and we don't even talk about UTEP, who just got blown up by New Mexico. UTEP is looking like one of the worst 10 teams in the country again, and North Texas is not far behind them. But so that win don't even count to me anymore. But that's a big thing for me, is offensively, there's been no evolution.
Right.
And we're in year 7 of Seth Littrell.
Yeah, and to go back to the running thing, it'd be different if this was a situation where throughout the game you've been mixing up your offense. But how many plays? I wish I could see how many plays they ran total.
I mean, I don't know, but they ran the ball 39 times and passed the ball 29 times. So,
oh yeah, there you go. I guess I can just read that. Yeah. So, I mean, there were so many times where they do the hurry up, and the only reason why they're gashing them is because they're not letting the defense, was having trouble. But the second they set and you do that 4th run, that 5th run, you get stopped. And then to go back to it, the same exact play when you had just gotten stopped because I know it's coming, and to do it again is just, it blows my mind. It blows my mind.
I want to make sure before we continue, because there's a lot more we can get to in the next however many minutes. Seth Littrell has been is a really, really good guy. I think he's a good coach, and I just want to say all this is nothing personal, but I think anybody who has listened to us over the years, and anybody who maybe just listens to us now, I want everybody to understand that going forward, there's no malice in this.
Oh yeah, of course
I don't
not.
think like that's the thing for me, is that I know we our reach is growing a little bit more, even though, I shout out the YouTube followers and subscribers
Honestly,
out there.
YouTube's
Shout out to all
crazy.
y'all. But so yeah, some people, you might pull this and send it to a player or something like that. This is something we've been talking about for years, and I just want to make sure this is strictly based on the field here. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Because I love Seth personally. Like, y'all don't know the conversation Seth and I have off air.
We had him on the podcast.
We have him on the podcast. He's super nice, awesome guy.
Yeah.
This is the thing. This has to stop at some point. That I'm gonna be straight up with you, Colin, because we do this podcast. Goldman Green has their podcast. Sonoy has a great podcast out. All these people that care about North Texas do these shows. And I think all of us should be united in that we've had enough of this. This is ridiculous to get to the point in year 7 where you're getting blown out by UNLV. By UNLV. And also, for those who are wondering, I've referenced this before, the talent composite that 24/7 puts up every year. UNLV is 118th.
Preseason, but yes.
Preseason. I mean, based on the talent on the roster.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I was referencing, on the last podcast, I referenced the rankings, like 1 through 131, like actual rankings. They were 117th in that.
You're referencing the recruit ranking.
This one is the recruiting rank. Like, based on who they have on their roster, they're, what did I say, 118?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 118. Okay. So, and getting to the amount of bowl games that he's gotten to, getting them to 500 seasons and all this stuff, all that would be okay if this wasn't North Texas. If this was Rice, if this was Charlotte, if this was FIU, if you could go down, if this was UTEP, if this was Southern Miss, I could go down the damn list. If this was all of these schools that don't pay their coach $2 million and isn't located in one of the hottest hotbeds of recruiting in the country and football in the country, then I could let it slide. I could come on this podcast and be like, it happens.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. This is unacceptable. Flat out unacceptable. And I cannot continue to put on a facade, a charade, that this is okay. That it's okay because they beat UTEP. That it's okay that they lost to SMU because SMU is just so much better. I can't. UTSA competed with Texas today.
Yeah.
With Texas. Rice beat UL Lafayette, who last year went like 10-3 and won the Sun Belt, or was in the Sun Belt championship game. And I know it's not the same team. It doesn't matter. Rice did that. At some point, can you overachieve? And can you please elevate this program? And I just don't think he can.
Yeah. And for anyone that'd be going back to like, oh, well, they beat UTSA last year. I mean, I would just call it a fluke.
It is a fluke.
Well, because when has it happened again? You lose every bowl game, you get blown out in every bowl game except for Army. You lose every championship game. I guess it's been one. And then every important game that you have to win. UAB a couple of years ago, it's similar circumstances where it's like you turn it over on downs because of you're running the ball, or you lose the La Tech game off of blocked field goal, or you lose all the important games. Yeah. At no point has there been an important game where you've walked away and you've gone, all right, this is good. You did it.
Yeah.
So
I can't continue to be passive in this, because I honestly, and I can't see, if I'm Ren Baker here, I'm not firing him during the season.
Oh yeah, that makes no sense.
Like, it makes no sense. Like, it is what it is. Like, this isn't Nebraska where you have $7.5 million, $15 million really to just hand a coach to walk away. Like, there's no need to do that. Save your money, coach out the year. But we said before the season, this has to be a 7-win season.
Yeah.
And in my mind, UNLV was not even a thought of them losing this game. And now, if we go to the rest of the schedule, Memphis, FAU, La Tech, UTSA, Western Kentucky are the next 5 games. La Tech is the only one that they will not be more than a touchdown underdog in. If they go 1-4 in those games, Colin, that drops them to 3-6. And then you have to go 3-0 against FIU, who's awful, UAB, and Rice. And UAB and Rice are not going to be gimmies. UAB is probably going to beat them. But it's like, again, I said 7 wins. You have to reach that point. And I think Seth is a smart guy. He knows he has to win 7 games this year. Like you have to. So I just can't get over the fact that we are in year 7 and I just had to like embarrassing. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to. I don't want to say it's embarrassing telling people that I went to North Texas because it's not. But it's embarrassing when
You're rooting
I'm at
for
the
it. You're
LSU
rooting for
game
the
and
school.
I'm at the LSU game. I have on my computer North Texas and UNLV. Colin, someone walks behind one of another rider comes behind like, "How are your Mean Green doing?" And I point to the scoreboard, and they're down 20 to UNLV.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
Here. I have a question for you.
Go ahead. I'm
What if?
trying to get my camera to focus back.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening.
Okay.
What if?
It was on the mic?
What if he somehow gets the 7 wins? What if he beats Memphis? What if he beats UAB? What if he beats Rice? What if he somehow wins against UTSA? Is it a similar situation where you're like, oh, well, you rattle off some wins like last year? Would you keep him? So you'd have to win. You'd have to win FAU for sure. You'd have to win La Tech. So that's 2.
Here's the thing.
3, 4. I mean, it'd be really hard. Oh, you got it to work.
Yeah, I just changed it from high definition to standard definition.
Look at that.
I know. This is honestly better quality too. I should probably do this. I feel like the high definition focuses on something and then blurs the background, you know? This one just keeps together. Regardless, how about this? The problem isn't just that they're losing games.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I understand. I'm saying if we're looking at this from a – sorry, I should rephrase the question. Do you think there's a chance he stays if he gets the 7 wins? Or is it over?
He would have to go he has to go 7-5 in a regular season. 6-6 in a regular season in a bowl does not do it.
Yeah, I know. I understand.
No, but previously I had said 6-6 with a bowl win would be fine.
But I think it's over. In my eyes, I don't think there's a way you could, unless you somehow rattle. If you go undefeated, sure, I guess. But so many times, and this is why I was so happy at the beginning, because if they were to have lost by UNLV, like the score that I predicted, 30-27, we're coming on here, and I'm ambivalent of what's happening. I don't know if he should stay, if he should go, if they're gonna, beat La Tech or whatever. Now I know. It is confirmed. They lose 48-10. UTEP sucks. They give up 27 points to Texas Southern. We weren't sure if that was going to be a thing. And then UNLV puts up 58. Up to this point, I am now it's a done deal in my mind. If I'm Ren Baker, it's a done deal.
I agree. I mean, to me, it's like you said, barring an 8-4 season somehow coming out of this where they beat everybody besides.
Yeah, if your only losses come to like UTSA and Memphis.
Yeah, and you run the table the rest of the way. Okay, we can talk because then they're probably in a conference championship game if that happens, but that's not going to happen. So let's stay in the realm of reality here. They go. I think the real range here of expectations 4, somewhere between 4 and 7, and 7's obviously the very very high mark. You'd probably say 4 to 6 range.
Yeah,
right, as being the most realistic range. 4 gone, 5 gone, 6. Probably, right? And it goes back to what I was saying earlier, right? Where I can't even have a North Texas game on my computer anymore without having, and I mean, I'm not actually embarrassed, but without being asked like, oh, North Texas, who are they playing this week? Oh, UNLV, and they're losing by 30. The perception of the program.
Yeah, that's what you're getting at. The perception by everybody else matters because they built up so much. Every sport has gotten an influx of money under Ren. Basketball is succeeding. Soccer has their new stadium. Whatever. But football,
softball too.
So yeah, softball. I don't know enough, so I wasn't sure.
I know.
But then you go back to football, which is basically, I mean, unfortunately, when you look at a school in Texas, if their football program is bad, that sets the perception instantly.
Yes.
So because North Texas isn't Duke, it isn't a basketball school, you got to be good at football too. And without that, you can only hold on so long where you want to get to the AAC, where you want to do this, where you want to do that, where you want to be a championship athletic program. It's not possible if football doesn't work.
You're right. You're 100%
Yeah,
right, and that's where you have to, it has to change. It has to change going to the American, and that's what we talked about going into this year. Where it was a prove it year. Well, you have proven it. You've done it.
yeah.
You've proven it to us with a 31-point loss to UNLV, which I didn't think was humanly possible. I didn't think it was possible. I I watched UNLV versus Cal, and I did my homework. I watched UNLV Cal just so I didn't sound stupid on here. And now I still sound stupid because last podcast I said UNLV wasn't good.
You got spited.
Yeah, I said UNLV wasn't good, and North Texas said, "Watch this. We're going to be even worse than them."
Yeah.
And they were. And so it's just there. You can't.
And again, I want to make it abundantly clear. This, in my eyes, it didn't come back to the players. I think this is the first year. This is the first year you can say that it doesn't come back to the players because we've seen what all of them are capable of. But it's like they're constantly they're like trying to beat their coaches. In terms, and obviously, defensively, I'm not able to really. I mean, I don't know defense like you study it a lot more. But like offensively, we already talked about the runs, constant runs. You have all these receivers. Ani was able to cut up the field a bit. Why are you still running it in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in a row? All those types of things, and you're fighting yourself at that point, and you're shooting yourself in the foot. And whenever they had the targeting call and didn't get the fumble. And Seth was really mad. I mean, the momentum was already UNLV's side. I mean, you can sit there and complain about that, but that didn't change the game.
Yes.
They were still going to roll out there next possession and do their thing like they did the rest of the game.
Yeah. No, I mean, the talent is it's on this team. They have enough talent to not get beat by 31 to UNLV.
To not get by 31 to SMU.
By anybody on this schedule. Nobody on this schedule should be beating North Texas by 4 possessions.
Yeah.
25 or more points. That should never happen. Ever. I don't care if this is the worst day possible. It can't happen. The running back room is a bunch of legitimate recruits. The offensive line, I know they were without Daisy and Carroll. Sure. The offensive line, for the most part, you have Gabe Blair, Manasseh Mose. You got some Jed Duncan was a 3-star guy. Like, you have recruits there. You have recruited. And that's why it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how the players play per se, because in college football, the coaches have recruited the players. They've picked the players that they want to play for them. And now in the transfer portal, more than ever, you pick who plays for you and who doesn't play for you. So you can filter your roster every single year if you wanted to. And this is the roster he has, and it's a pretty damn solid roster.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a bad roster. This isn't the roster he inherited in 2015, 2016. This is much more.
You have legitimate players.
Yes, and I obviously, you had like Jeffrey Wilson on that team and whatever, some other guys. But like, this is a team that has been built through the recruiting classes that we talked about in this podcast back when we were doing this thing with Mingering 24/7, and we would do the recruiting podcast where we're like, they're the number 1 recruiting class in the conference. They're number 2. They're number 4. Those were legit. And you know why I know that? Because UTSA is starting to see the benefits themselves. And I get on the phone, I call my dad, and who watched UTSA and Texas play, and he's like, you can just tell. This is what he says. He says, you can tell Texas has infinitely more talent.
Yeah.
But damn it, UTSA is well coached, and they fly around. And that's it. That's all anybody wants. UTSA is not expecting to beat Texas, but they want to fight with them. And UTSA looks like the best team in Conference USA again because of their coaching staff.
Who is Gabriel Murphy's brother?
Grayson Murphy. They're both at UCLA.
Yeah. I was looking up because we talk about the talent and how we've constantly seen, and this is on both sides of the ball, where we don't see.
They're both. Oh, they're starting
where they don't gain their where we don't see the talent. Yeah, exactly.
I think we saw the Murphy's potential last year.
No, Murphy's, yeah, and they're doing it, but they're doing it at another level. Is what I'm saying.
Yes.
So they go up. Upton Stout within conference. He had no picks his first 2 years.
Yeah,
he has 2 already for Western and a touchdown.
Yeah, the pick 6. Yeah.
So I mean, it's just the same type of thing. Like you said, you pick the players, you have the talent.
Like you can't go like moving forward. And we'll wrap this podcast up soon because we're kind of rambling at this point.
Yeah,
But
it's just yeah, it's fun.
moving
Sorry.
forward, the talent of this roster will not greatly increase in the next 2-3 years. Like it won't. Like you can get a better quarterback. Like you can get some players like the Murphys, and that will change the game. But you're not going to take this step from being North Texas caliber of talent to Houston, to
and that's not to say that the talent they already have can't compete with those guys, because they're getting. I mean, up until I think last year, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, we're getting way better talent than everyone in the conference for the most part.
Yeah, I mean they were. So and then I mean last year it felt like they were trying to go more of like get players to help them now, so they didn't recruit as many freshmen because they wanted to avoid this situation.
Yeah.
And yet here we are still where it feels like there's enough talent on this roster to compete in Conference USA. Like I listened to national podcasts and I remember North Texas being brought up once and it's like, oh, they could be a legit sleeper on there. And I think that's just from a talent perspective because you think of a team that's in Dallas and how are you not competing with teams in, I don't know, in La Tech in Ruston, right?
Yeah.
Or a team in why am I blanking on the whole conference right now?
Western
Kentucky, like just teams like this. It's like what is happening? So I think we've talked enough. I'll let you wrap up any final thoughts.
Well, I was gonna say, did you want to do another podcast later in the week for Memphis, or just quickly at it right now? I mean, what are we gonna say?
I mean, what do you mean preview? What do you mean Memphis? What do you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, normally we did the preview for SMU, but I mean,
we can do one. We'll do one later in the week.
Okay, just to give everyone a sneak preview, they lost by less than North Texas.
I've watched Memphis.
Yeah, they lost by less to Mississippi State than North Texas lost to UNLV.
Yeah,
they beat Navy and they beat Arkansas State.
Well, I had to watch that Mississippi State Memphis game because LSU played Mississippi State today, so I watched that.
Yeah, there you
go.
So it'll be it's gonna be interesting. ESPN's Power Index has them 87% chance of winning, so that's cool.
I don't know, man. It's the sad thing is we've done podcasts like this before, and every time, like as far as like Latrell's job status, right? We've talked about his job status for the past 4 years on this podcast, basically. And every year, it's been met with, well, if this happens, then he could potentially do it. Last year, he was 1-6, and John and I are on there like.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think everyone thought it was over then.
Everybody thought it was over. 100% done. He reels off 6 straight wins, and it's saved. If that happens this year, where he's 2-6, and they win 4 straight games to close out the year, I just don't think that works this year.
I even think if they win out now, there's a low chance.
What do you mean? Because define win out, Con? That'd be 10-2.
Yeah. I mean,
if they go 10-2,
the wins would have to be convincing. I guess you'd have to beat UTSA in Memphis still.
10-2. If they
say they go 8-4. Say they go 8-4. Sorry, I'll revise that.
Reel yourself.
If they go 8-4, I still think there's a conversation. Because the teams you're beating are not Memphis. It's not gonna. So you have your 2 losses beating Memphis and UTSA. We already talked about how bad Conference USA is.
Yeah, and then it's the same thing as last year where you're beating bad teams and you upset the one good team, like you upset UAB, right?
Yeah.
You upset UAB. FIU's bad. Rice is Western's okay. They battled with Indiana a little bit. La Tech's not good. FAU's decent. So again, it's like this isn't the caliber we hold ourselves to.
Yeah,
that's what Rim Baker should be saying at the end of the day. If I'm Rim Baker, we have to elevate what we hold ourselves to. And getting beat by 30, however much they lost, 31 to UNLV, you can't have it. So I just, it feels And I hate saying it because we do it every single year where like, oh, this is the year it happens, all this stuff. And we're here in year 7. But this time it genuinely feels like a funeral. There's no way he gets out of the casket again. There's no way he does the Undertaker meme where
what was stopping
the Undertaker
it before?
meme just like pops up.
Yeah, what was stopping it before was the contract.
Yes.
I mean, that's a huge thing. It's a lot less now if you let him go at the end of the year. Not only that, you have the transition period. You're going to the new conference. You're doing
Even if
this.
it doesn't cost less, even if it doesn't cost less, you have to bite the bullet.
Oh yeah. I mean, but I'm just saying, there's all these. It's like lining up. It's the eclipse. So
yeah.
But I guess we'll talk about Memphis later, and we'll really love that preview.
I might just let you do that by yourself.
I'm not gonna do that by myself.
Go ahead. You can close out the podcast. There you go. Just be like, hey.
That's it. Follow the Green Room on Spotify, on Facebook. There's our Twitters. How did I mess up the Twitters, but I didn't mess up that? That's crazy.
I don't know. You were doing so well.
Yeah, but what do you guys think?
You're the YouTuber, Colin.
I mean,
you haven't posted on your golf YouTube.
I had COVID.
That's not an excuse. You can golf by yourself.
You know how hard it is to golf when you feel awful.
It's called adversity, Colin. It's good to know you don't push through any adversity.
Okay.
Just let it beat you.
Just let it beat me.
All right. We appreciate y'all for joining us. This went 36 minutes. And I don't even know what we said for half the time. But it was fun. I grabbed the mic and yelled in this one.
You did.
Hopefully that one comes out clean on the audio side. I'll check that out. But we thank y'all for joining us. Follow us on YouTube. If you're listening not on the YouTube, go check out our YouTube.
I already did all this.
Yeah, but you didn't plug the YouTube, so you pointed everything, but not the YouTube. So yeah, check out the YouTube Green Room
They're
podcast.
already watching it on YouTube, anyways.
If you're watching on YouTube, we appreciate you. Leave us a like, please, and subscribe and send to a friend, and clip it. So there you go. Is that what the kids are saying?
Sure.
Clip
it. Like, subscribe. Smash that like button.
Sorry. Thank you. We'll see y'all later.